Hi everyone. Today we're going to show you how to sew or fix a pair of pajamas that have the elastic in the wrist and in the ankle. I bought some at Costco, 3 pairs, and I wore the first 2, and then I washed them, and then went to put them on again. They were really tight in the ankles and in the wrists. So I figured I needed to take that out and just have no elastic in there. So for me, I cannot stand having something really tight around my wrist or my ankles, especially with having diabetes. It's very uncomfortable. And I don't like to be uncomfortable or shut off the circulation. So, with that said, I have the pajamas. Now, I'm going to show you the top because I've taken the elastic out of the bottom, so I can do this and show you how I sew these up. And I've been doing it for years. And excuse the hair, my hair is frozen out like crazy. Don't know why, but it's doing it. So don't mind that. But anyway, so with that, what I'm talking about is this elastic. Now, a lot of people, if they don't know how to sew, they'll just cut it off. And that's okay. You can do that. You can cut it off. It's a fleece. It shouldn't fray, but it'll probably over time it would fray and start coming apart and the material. That's pretty normal. So with that, you want to either hand sew it. You can hand sew it too. I mean, you don't have to be perfect at these things. You could just remove the stitching and take the elastic out. Now, they sew the elastic in nowadays, not slide it in like they used to. Now they make it where they run it on a serger. That's where that type of stitching is from. And on the inside, if you look, that's from a serger. I used to have a serger. I do not have a serger anymore. I didn't use it enough, so I donated it. I thought that was the best thing because I'm not going to have machines that I don't use hanging around. I got rid of a few to a school that teaches children how to sew because they don't have the sewing in schools anymore like they used to. So at least there's places like that they'll teach, and they'll have a variety of machines, sergers. I did a serger, a regular sewing machine, a couple of sergers, and a couple of sewing machines. But I figure I'm not going to have them around collecting dust and everything like that. So I donated them. I'm going to fix my camera just a little here because it wants to slide down. And I apologize. I don't know why it's doing it, but it is. But with that said, I have took the stitching out. I started this ripping the stitching out of the top portion, and you want to make sure that when you're going into the stitches, you want to cut these. You could take little small scissors. You can use a seam ripper. That's what I did, and remove those stitches. Try to get where you have the exposure of the elastic, and then you can take like your seam ripper and run it along that elastic. If you accidentally catch the elastic and you rip it, no big deal. You don't rip the material. That's the key. You just want to be really careful when you're starting so you don't rip your material. So I have the bottoms here that I have, and I'm tucking this behind me, or beside me. And this is what I ended up with. Now, you see how on here you can tell where the elastic, where it folded over. like a perfect rollover. Well, when you're going to re-sew these, I like to have none of this material exposed, because over time, washing it, it's going to start fraying, it's going to start rolling, it'll start where it'll go past the stitches, and then your pajamas are ruined. I don't like that. I like to make it clean, and that's my preference. So with that, when you're going to go ahead and sew back, you can go back to where it folded over and just fold the material under one more time up into that natural crease that was there, and then you'll pin it. I like that. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. I mean, these are just pajamas. You're making them more comfortable for yourself. I'm not going to sit there and break out my little hem gauge and sit there and measure each one, make sure it's completely not necessary. These are my personal, so I'm just going to roll it. That edge is there. I can feel it. I just put it up against it and roll it over, and then I pin it like this. That's the other leg, so it's all pinned. So I have a few things that I use particularly. I have what's called a tomato that I put my needles in. But when I'm sewing, I don't have it over here. I use a magnetic unit. So I don't have to worry about any of these going anywhere. It just sticks in there, like so. So won't fall out. And then I'm not looking for pins all over, which I do have a magnet on rollers. I had bought them a long time ago with the handle, and it makes it very convenient if you spill them on the floor, which I've done plenty of times. So this is what I do. I have the elastic that was removed. See these pieces of threads? You want to make sure those are removed from your material before you start sewing. Or if you get those caught down in the machine, it can be a world of pain. That's all I gotta say. Or expensive fix, especially on the computerized ones. Older machines, I still remove it because that's a lot of clean. You got to clean underneath the bobbin. And you can oil older machines. These newer machines that are computerized, you can't. They've got motherboards in them. They've got all kinds of electronics. You have to be extremely careful. Me, I used to be in tech support. That's how I met my husband. And I learned how to clean with small tools. So I use a little vacuum. It's the one that you would use for a computer. And I vacuum out the machine, and I clean it every time I sew on it. I don't go another job and go, oh, well, I'll just clean it next time. No, I don't do that, because this Husqvarna is completely computerized. I have gone in and told it what I'm doing, what type of material I'm working on, and it has told me what type of needle, what foot to use, and it sets the tension for me. I'll show you when I switch it over to the machine. I've removed the drawer portion. It makes the part of the sewing machine bigger. I've removed that to free up what's called a free arm. It allows you to put any kind of cuffed round objects under it, so you don't catch the material that's underneath. Before you had to do a little wiggling, and like my older machines that are in stationary cabinets, they don't have that. So it is you got to make sure that your material's out of the way all the time. These, you just tuck it under and you go. Also, I know this, I do this. This is me. When you replace a needle, and I replace my needles not per job, because I use titanium, I'll go 4 or 5 jobs. But if I'm switching to a different project and I know it's getting close to where I'm going to get rid, I just throw it out, because to me it's not worth ruining what I'm working on. Also, I don't throw them directly in the trash can. I bought a little thing of gum, and I use this for my needles. And so once it gets filled, I will put tape around it and everything and put hazardous. So when it goes to the landfill or whatever, it's safe. There isn't, you don't, I've gone to the pharmacy and go, can you recycle this? You know, the needles. They said no, because it wasn't needles that you give your insulin and things like that. I do have that because I have diabetes and I do take insulin. So I do drop that off and pay to have them recycle it. But they don't do needles. But I just do it because I have a tendency with the trash can to push, you know, the stuff down, because it's sewing stuff. I'm not worried about it. But you don't want to get poked by a needle. I've done it. It hurts. Just FYI. Years of experience of doing that one. Usually I don't use straight pins like I've used here. I usually use my clips. But on this one, I usually use these. But I decided I'm going to go ahead and use my pins because I was doing a rolling motion. And for me to pin it was a little bit easier than the clips. I usually use these clips on material that I don't want the holes to show. This fleece, it's not going to show. It's not going to show at all. So I use my straight pins. Other than that, I use the clips. So with that said, the next thing is we're going to show you on the computer how to hem this up. And then I'm going to go over some other things you can do if you don't have a sewing machine. Now, in this position, I'm going to show you how. Now, you see how I can put my hand under here of the machine? That is the free arm section. So I'm going to slide the material that I'm going to, the one leg. Now, you want to start where the seam is the middle of your pants, not on the outside seam. So you want to go to that inner seam here. That's what I'm talking about. You want to make sure, you don't have to because it's pajama. I just do it because it's a habit. I've set the machine up. I'm going to follow the hem on this side. Okay. So I'm not sure how well that's going to show. I might need to move it. I think what I'm going to do is move the camera where you can see behind. I just kind of wanted to show you how this, I'm going to tip it, goes under the machine. So you just slide under, you don't have to worry about the material. And then we're going to just follow this line here of the foot. Now we're going to tell it to reverse. Drop the dog. I'm going to move that over a little so it's better aligned. And then we're just going to go ahead and start. Now I have this set up for a stretch stitch. So it's not going to do an exact straight line. It's going to do a pivot so we have a stretch in the material and it's not real stiff, and then you're not ending up breaking the threads because it's a tight stitch. So it's putting in a stretch stitch for me. See how it's putting that stitch in there? Here's my end of my thread. So not sure if you can see that really well, so I'm going to move it back just a little bit more, and it's putting the seam right in. I apologize because it's not easy moving your camera around. So I've been sewing since I was 7 years old, so I can sew this pretty fast. Okay. There's going to be this seam portion, so it's going to be a little tougher to get over it. This machine should automatically do it. It doesn't. I have a little helper. It's a finger piece that helps to push it through, just like so. I hope this video you liked, and please, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to comment, send it to me. I'll answer. But you have a wonderful day, and our next video will probably be later this week. I'm trying for 2 videos a week. So I will talk to you later. Bye.